The movie begins in an abandoned building, with what seems to be a battle going on using advanced weapons, which eventually causes the building to be demolished from within. The story shifts to a school teacher, Mr. Hicks, who calls Hal Selinsky because his son Eli was involved in a fistfight with one of his classmates. Hal cannot make it to school, so Hicks drops Eli at home. He doesn't find his dad there, so he cycles and pays a visit to his mother's grave. He leaves the graveyard and visits several places, stealing copper and aluminum wires so he can sell them and get money to buy new shoes. He reaches the same building from the previous scene, which was demolished. There he discovers a few bodies covered in masks and armor. He also finds a peculiar rectangle weapon that looks like a high-tech gun, which he picks up and accidentally triggers. Before he could understand anything, one of the dead wakes and touches him. He gets terrified, drops the gun, and runs out of the building. He picks up his bicycle and flees. When Eli returns home, his father is upset because of the complaint about his son, which has led Eli to be suspended from school. He does not want Eli to do such things and believes his deceased wife would not like it. He further tells him that Eli's brother Jimmy is out of prison and will join them both at dinner, and asks Eli to be careful with him. Jimmy arrives at his home and tells Eli to change his shoes immediately as they look dirty. During dinner, Jimmy requests Hal for a job at his office, but Hal turns him down since he believes his office does not have room for an ex-con like him. Jimmy gets upset at his reply and expresses his disappointment at his father's lack of concern towards him and leaves the house. Later that night, Jimmy visits known gangsters Taylor and his brother Dutch at their home. It's revealed that Jimmy owes $60,000 to Taylor, who threatens Jimmy that he will kill Hal and Eli if he doesn't pay him his money. Meanwhile, Eli has dreams about the abandoned building, corpses, and the peculiar rectangle object. He wakes up and heads to the abandoned building in the middle of the night. After reaching where the corpses were, he's unable to locate them. Confused, he finds a flashlight and uses it to wander around the building. Eventually, he finds the strange object and admires its design and state-of-the-art technology. He gets excited and takes it to his home. Meanwhile, Jimmy reaches his home and starts an argument with Hal. At the same time, Eli enters the house by sneaking in through a window. He overhears Jimmy asking Hal for a loan of $60,000 to pay Taylor back. Jimmy tells him that Taylor had protected Jimmy in jail, and if Hal doesn't pay Jimmy, he'll hurt Hal and Eli. Listening to this, Hal reacts furiously and asks him to leave. Jimmy knows his father has a lot of cash in his office safe. He even accuses Hal of wiping any traces of him in the house by allowing Eli, an adoptive child, to stay in his old room. Before Hal leaves for work the next day, he gives Eli a list of things to get done before he returns home. After Hal leaves, Eli plays with the strange weapon for a while. On the other hand, Jimmy takes a room in a motel and brainstorms about how he could pay off the debt. While Eli is doing chores in the evening, Hal arrives and inquires about the metal junk he has discovered. Eli tells him that he's been collecting and selling scraps for money. He quickly orders Eli to return the items to their original site, wherever they belong. Further, he picks him up and takes him to his office to get the property developer's contact information so they can reach out to them and ask them to pick up the scraps Eli has collected. Eli has no choice but to do what he is told. On the way, Eli states that he's merely a replacement child in the family. Hearing his beloved adoptive son speak like this, Hal expresses that Eli is still his son and that he and his late wife wish to raise him right. When he gets out of the car, he realizes someone has broken into his office. He asks Eli to stay in the truck while he walks in to check inside. Inside, Hal catches Jimmy, Taylor, and Dutch stealing money from his safe. Jimmy asks Hal to leave as soon as he realizes his father is in danger. However, it is difficult for a strong guy like Hal to witness Jimmy and his gangster mates stealing his money. Taylor pulls out a gun and shoots Hal to death, which triggers Jimmy. He eventually grabs a gun and starts shooting. Taylor's brother Dutch is killed instantly by Jimmy. When Jimmy realizes how things have gone wrong, he takes the bag of cash and flees in a cowardly manner, leaving his father's body behind. He steals Hal's truck from the gate and escapes with Eli, who was still waiting for his father. Additionally, he informs him that his father had to complete something for work, so he asked him to pick up Eli from the gate. After such a horrible incident, Jimmy attempts to collect himself back at the house. He misleads his brother again, telling him that they're going to Lake Tahoe, their mother's favorite destination. He convinces Eli to take a road trip while pretending that their father will be joining them there soon. At first, Eli is suspicious about whether or not his brother is telling the truth. However, Jimmy convinces him by saying that spending time on a trip is better than doing chores at home. The two brothers leave their residence after packing their bags just before Taylor's gang arrives. The two brothers travel by Hal's truck to Iowa, then they stop at a restaurant to have breakfast. Eli plays games in the restaurant, while Jimmy takes off the truck's number plate. On the other hand, Taylor is also determined to seek vengeance on Jimmy for killing his brother. Both brothers stop at a hotel on their way home since it's already night. The following morning, while Eli is playing with his weapon in the bathroom, he discovers some interesting visual features. In the next scene, two masked armored figures search the abandoned building where Eli discovered the weapon. Then Eli decides to send his father a voicemail, informing him that they'll meet him in Tahoe as they stroll outside in the hotel, and he tells him that he misses him. Taylor, who has Hal's phone, soon discovers the brother's location. Jimmy takes his younger brother to a strip club at night because he believes it's time for him to start growing up. He gives Eli a significant sum of money so his younger brother can choose any girl he desires. The two brothers eventually meet Millie, a charming stripper, and become friends. Eli is told that he's even more mature than his big brother by the woman, who makes a wonderful impression on him. Since he genuinely likes Millie, he offers her everything he has. Eli then approaches Jimmy and starts discussing their father. Jimmy ignores the conversation and shifts the subject by joining Millie on stage for a dance. This quickly leads Lee, the club owner, and his gang to try to stop Jimmy. Lee's crew begins to assault Jimmy when he tells them to leave by throwing money at Lee. Millie is helpless and cannot stop them despite her best efforts. Noticing his big brother being abused and threatened, Eli threatens them with his gun to save his sibling. A sound from the pool table causes Eli to shoot in the middle of the tense situation. The gun only needs one shot to blow a portion of the wall. The gang freezes after realizing the gun's tremendous yet terrible potential. Millie seizes the chance to carry Jimmy and Eli as they flee. Meanwhile, after seeing a signal from the activated gun, the armored figures rapidly navigate and change route and rush to the spot the signal is coming from. Jimmy is intrigued by the weapon after escaping from the club and begins to examine it, but finds out only Eli can operate it. They fire off multiple shots and are blown away by its power. Jimmy realizes he's already left the bag of money in the strip club and decides he'll have to return to Lee's place to get it back. They only have a small amount of money to spend a night in a hotel because all the money has been spent. Millie and Eli share a room where they share their experiences with child abuse when they were young. Eli displays to Millie a scar on his palm, which he claims is evidence of abuse by his biological parents. Millie also shows a few spots on her hand, saying that she is also a child abuse victim, and tells Eli never to hide his scars because it symbolizes he is a survivor. She always uses the peace sign to indicate the peace she didn't have in her childhood. In the meantime, Taylor and his companions make their way to Tahoe. They stop at a gas station, where Taylor asks the shopkeeper if they can use the bathroom. The shopkeeper refuses and tells him that it's only for employees. Angered by this, Taylor pisses in front of the cash counter. He doesn't even let his group take a rest. In the hotel, Millie offers to assist Jimmy in retrieving his cash in exchange for them providing her with transport to the west. Jimmy persuades Eli to help him with utilizing the gun's power and promises not to hurt anyone. They eventually arrive at Lee's home, thanks to Millie. The two brothers wear bandit disguises and enter covertly. Jimmy demands Lee to return the money, while Eli controls the crowd with the gun. Eli uses a single gunfire shot to destroy one of the cars, while Eli's gang tries to stop them. The group then drives away in their car. Meanwhile, the armored figures arrive at the strip club, where they eventually discover what happened and identify Eli using virtual tracking technology. The group travels to Nevada with a large amount of cash. They enjoy themselves in the casino and stay in a luxury hotel there. Eli attempts to call his father in the casino using Millie's phone. He notices a TV news program and is devastated to find out that his father was killed in a shootout. Eli, unable to accept this information, immediately confronts Jimmy as the police show up, because a minor is not allowed in the poker area. As Eli is facing Jimmy, the police notice them and come to seize them. Millie shows Eli the peace sign as she leaves Eli while they apprehend Jimmy. They also pick up their belongings. Meanwhile, Taylor and his gang quickly make their way to Suluco County after discovering that Jimmy is being held captive there. Eli is allowed 10 minutes to speak with Jimmy at the police station. At this time, Jimmy begins to tell Eli the truth about what happened that day, but Eli doesn't forgive him for what he did and leaves. Taylor eventually makes it to Suluco County. Driven by a desire for vengeance, he enters the station and begins to kill any police officers who try to stop him. While the police prepare to defend the other side, Taylor and his gang break the wall to reach Jimmy's cell. Eli and Jimmy both recognize the threat and begin to fear. After being wounded, a police officer enters Eli's chamber. Before being put to death by Taylor, he gives Eli the key to the evidence logger so that he can get the gun. After killing every police officer in the station, Taylor frees Jimmy from his cell. While the group is preparing to beat Jimmy up, they hear gunfire outside, and Taylor checks it. It turns out that the FBI agent Morgan Hunter has shown up to work with the local police. She is met with gunfire by Taylor's team, who guards the front. Eli has discovered the gun inside the station and rushes up to save his brother. Eli and Jimmy Jimmy both succeed in killing the majority of the gang members by shooting them. However, one failed shot causes a portion of the ceiling to collapse, drawing the attention of the FBI team. Outside, when Jimmy and Eli escape the chaos inside the station and enter the lobby, they're surrounded by cops outside. Jimmy says he does not ask Eli for forgiveness, but wants his brother to know he is sorry as they lay their weapons down and surrender to the authorities. Taylor slowly approaches them from behind while pointing his revolver at Jimmy. The police outside spot two armored persons coming their way at a rapid speed. As they enter the lobby, they begin to fire at them, but their bullets don't seem to be able to hurt them. The two pursuers throw a device into the lobby as they come close to Eli, Jimmy, and Taylor. Eli is pushed to a corner and feels a strong tremble, which causes him to pass out immediately. When Eli awakens, time has stopped. Except for him, everything around him freezes. He is only a few inches away from Jimmy and can see Taylor firing a bullet. To prevent them, the FBI team breaks down the door. At this point, Eli immediately gets his gun and points at the two people he sees enter the room as time is frozen. The two figures now remove their masks and show their faces. After successfully persuading Eli to hand over the ray gun, the man calms Eli down and introduces himself as a visitor from a world that is at war. And even Eli is a part of that world. They only kept him on Earth to keep him safe, which is why he can activate the weapon. Later, the man tells Eli to remain with his brother, while the woman repositions the bullet at Taylor. He assures Eli that they may join them in their world when he is ready. In the end, the man shakes Eli's hand, which causes a red sign to appear on his palm, before saying farewell and entering the world through a portal. Time resumes as soon as the two armored beings are gone. Taylor's gunshot strikes him in the head. Jimmy and Eli are being arrested and detained. Hunter, the FBI agent, tells Eli that Jimmy acts as his cover and might spend some time in jail, but only if he cooperates. But Eli doesn't speak anything about the weapon. Both of the brothers wink at each other. Hunter leaves along with Jimmy. Millie arrives and waves her hand at Eli, and they exchange smiles. During the final shot, Eli's palm is activated and shows a red signal in a triangle shape.
If you enjoyed that recap, I got a good feeling that you'll like this one too. Click on the video on your screen for more.